I'm social injustice warrior Vee Infuso, and here with me,
I am the unpredictable JGeorge, professional wrestler and overall entertainer.
I would say that's an accurate description.
Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed one thing about you that's different. You start speaking every time you have a promo. You kind of put you interject a little bit of your own personality into it every time.
First time ever, who can own the essential JGeorge collection?
I'm never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Yeah, because it's funny because I'll spend hours, only usually when I'm in the comfort of my own home and I'm filming my own stuff, I'll spend hours on it just doing take after take after take because I always get really self-conscious about whether or not I'm putting that personality in there or I'm reaching out to that as big of an audience as possible.
Steve Jobs is dead. Muhammad Ali is dead. Michelangelo is dead.
I always feel very self-conscious about that when I'm filming. So it takes a long time usually for me to put some of that stuff together, just because even though if I did it here I'm at a show and I have to do it in one take, I could do that no problem. But when I know that I kind of have that safety net of being able to do it and take as much time, I spend that much more time trying to perfect it because it's super important to me to have that, to inject it in there, to not make it look like I'm just going through the lines or whatever.
Something totally new, something totally unique, and something totally out of this world. Ladies and gentlemen, the unpredictable JGeorge.
That's right.
Who was your influence? Who are your influences, I should say? Because for me, the reason that I the reason I got into wrestling, the reason I became a fan was because of Shawn Michaels, pretty much.
I thought you were going to say Raven because of how you
you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Raven is the reason that I have this style. When I was a kid, I saw Raven dressed like this, and I was like, you know what? I want to be homeless one day.
What a mark.
Was Horace Hogan? He was in the flock, right?
Yeah, oh god. I'm Horace Boulder.
Horace, yeah, he was Horace Boulder.
Horace Boulder.
I'll tell you, Horace Boulder is not the reason I got into wrestling.
that would be a story. I want to meet the person who's like, man, it was Horace.
We once had a student tell us that he quit watching wrestling after Kelly got fired.
Oh, that was the breaking point.
That was he was like, nah, I couldn't watch it anymore. That was my favorite wrestler.
He's like, Austin, The Rock, the Flair retiring, fine. But Kelly? No.
Nothing against Kelly, but that's just so, you never hear that. That's just so weird.
No.
But to go back to the question, I have so many influences in terms of how I have from. Alright, so obviously I always model Ric Flair as the wrestler, everything a wrestler should be. That's it right there in one package. That's, you know what I mean. That's everything. So that's where Terry Funk is someone I modeled myself after a lot, and I've gotten in trouble for a little bit because I'm starting to learn you can't be like these guys, and guys like Terry Funk and Bruce Brody, where they're really spontaneous and really, because now it's called, you try to model yourself after them, they'll get you do it in the wrong way, or you don't have it perfected like they did, it could get you in hot water because they were really renegades and outlaws, and they kind of just marched by the beat of their own drum, and it's really, I always admired that.
That's why Dean has to walk down to the ring with a mustard and ketchup truck as opposed to trying to beat Brian Pillman.
Right. Yeah. It's times change. I always find outside influences from wrestling. One of my favorite movies is Taxi Driver. That was, that character, the Travis Bickle character.
You talking to me?
That played a role into molding, getting control of my emotions and stuff, and really putting it down there, And then people, entertainers like Lady Gaga, Kanye West, more recently helped me kind of get into the idea of presenting my character as more of an entertainer and stuff, and because that's always, Chris Jericho's again another guy where it's all that stuff always Chris Jericho, 1994 and 5, Jeff Jarrett. I love that stuff so much.
You know,
like,
first off, let me say I don't normally hear a lot of people say that they love Jeff Jarrett. And
I know it's weird.
I happen to be one of the few people who does. The only time I didn't really like Jeff Jarrett was when he got that like rush to the gold in WCW. I was like, ooh.
All that WCW stuff was like super weird to me. I remember seeing him like when he got the world titles. Like it was just kind of was like took me back from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, but like that whole like that character that Jeff Jarrett, like I was like that's it. That's what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like it's like stuff like that. Like I take from because it's just I think I'm starting to realize like that's what I want to be. Like you know that still you could be larger than life and then be able obviously Jarrett had some awesome matches back then with Shawn Michaels and stuff like come on.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
You talked about a lot of entertainers.
Yeah.
So now, does that mean that you're more toward the entertainment side of wrestling, or more toward the wrestling side, or do you think that you're like in the middle?
I would say definitely in the middle. You have to. The best advice I got from going to seminars and stuff. One of the best things that's always been ingrained in my head. Everything is situational. Mm-hmm. So whenever I look at where I'm at on the show, where I'm at on the card, who else is on the card. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm a card with like a guy like Zack Sabre Jr., I'm not going to go out there and try to be a super technical wrestler. You know what I mean? Even though I can chain wrestle, but I'm not. If he's on the card, I'm not going to do that. He's going to do it way better than I'll ever be able to do it. You know what I mean? So it's all about knowing where you are and what's needed of you. If they need a comedy, more of a comedy role, you have to fall back on that and do more of a comedy thing. If you want to have a nice... So, like, a good example, I wrestled Simon Gotch, former NXT guy, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody, like, the whole match was put together, and I was putting the match together because they were like, oh, yeah, he has, like, an entertaining character, and they'll do a lot of shtick and all that stuff.
Is he still doing pretty much the vaudeville?
No, not at all. Like, and we had, like, a really good technical match. Like, it was fun. It was, like, it was a step out of my comfort zone, and we got to show people, like, for both of us, expecting like very like shtick stuff and whatever. Like they were expecting one thing, we gave them something completely different. And I thought it was very successful.
What were some of the other people that you faced? I know that we spoke a little bit in the car.
Oh man, I've been so lucky because like a lot of the like guys I grew up watching, like Val Venus, I wrestled him one time and it was a 6-man match, and he showed up not looking like Val Venus. He had 2 shirts on. He had 2 Affliction shirts on and MMA shirts. He did the towel thing, but I'm like, why bother? Just and then after he beat me, he stood over me and did a rap against John Cena or something, like dissing John Cena. And I was just like looking up, like, what?
He might have been high, to be fair.
Yeah, got the cannabis. Who else was there? I've more recently I wrestled like Al Snow. I wrestled Hurricane and Rosie, which was Rosie's last match.
Oh, you started wrestling?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience, and I just love as a fan, like my wrestlers I was a fan of and that influenced me are usually pretty different. But so like I always loved all the Samoans in wrestling. Like, so it was pretty cool to get to be in there with one of them. I don't know, it's just a bunch of, there's been so many over, like Kaku I've interacted with and stuff. I was a manager when I first, like, started out at Warriors, really, like, all my main show stuff was as a manager, and that gave me the opportunity to be in there with a lot of just, like, just a bunch of random guys, like Kaku and Stevie Richards. It's been wild, man, yeah. But those were some of my, like, favorite experiences, though, because, like, they're just ridiculous and stuff, So I was a manager, and my first match as a manager was against Goldust, and we were gonna do this thing where after the match I jump on Goldust and he's gonna throw me off, and the Boogeyman comes out, and he's gonna do the worms. So I got asked, I was like, "Do you feel comfortable with worms? Or are you scared of worms or whatever?" I was like, "No, whatever, I'll do it."
That is. Only in wrestling are you going to be asked like such a bizarre
question,
right?
Like,
hey, are you okay with working with worms too?
Like, you never know, man. And
that and fetish porn.
Yeah, and I was all for it. And I remember getting there, and like I think it was his agent or his manager that brought him there was like said something. Oh, he doesn't use the worms anymore. He got sick, so they're fake worms. And I remember being like kind of disappointed about it. I was like kind of looking forward to it because it's like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all out and do it. So we get to the thing, we do the thing. He knocks me down, and I'm staring up. I'm looking over, and he's got the worms, and I'm like, these look like real worms. Like, oh wow, these look great. And then he puts them in my mouth, and I was like, oh no, these are real worms. And I remember seeing them crawling next to me, and then I got to spin them out, wow, run around and stuff. That was fun though. He was a great guy.
In your estimate, what do you think is different about wrestling today than wrestling when you were a kid? Like wrestling when, whatever it was that you got into it.
I mean, it's always changing. Like, so like I grew up watching everything because I remember like as soon as I started getting into wrestling, I'd always rent tapes and stuff. So I'd always watch old wrestling, and I had the old on-demand channel 24/7. So which was like the network before the network was a thing, pretty much. And it was great because like it gave you a regimen because it was like every month you had to watch it, otherwise it would go away. So like they would put up weekly NWA, Mid-South, WCCW, and I was like watching all this ECW, like, and I was getting it all like boom, 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 boom.
I used to like the Monday night thing that they did was they'd show you the Raw that came out that
after.
That was
dude,
awesome.
I've rewatched like years of Raw because of that, because like they restarted it at one point, so they started all the way from the beginning again. But I watched all of, like fucking 97 of Raw, which became my favorite. That was like one of my favorite years of wrestling. 97.
What's going on in 97?
That's when Brett did the big turn, the Pro Canada thing, which was like the greatest thing ever.
I love that angle because like in America, this guy's a heel. He goes back to
not
Canada.
Just Canada, but England, everywhere else, because he did the promo. He does a promo. He's like, to all my fans in Canada and Europe and the UK, I'm sorry for my actions. But to all the fans in the U.S., you could all kiss my ass. Like, I was like, this is brilliant.
What was really good?
Stone Cold's come up.
What was really good about that also is that like not a lot of people know this, but like during that time period, like UK fans were actually not so fond of the Attitude Era like we were.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, and that was Brett's whole gimmick too. Was like, yeah. So I mean, that's a big thing from when I grew up, was like the storylines and like the stuff you could say back then, which you couldn't do now. Like, remember, like they had like Trish Stratus like barking like a dog. Like,
yes.
Like if they did that,
I've defended that angle so many times. Everyone's like, "Oh, but it's sexist." It's like, look, dude, but she got her comeuppance. Like,
and that's what Vince said in the Bob Costas, because
that's all that matters. It's like, without villains, you cannot have heroes.
It's people forget because it's live action. I think that it's a
cartoon.
It's still storylines and stuff. But like, I remember Vince saying that in the Bob Costas, and he was like, keep watching. That character's gonna get his comeuppance eventually.
Absolutely.
And he did. But like, even then, besides all that, like, obviously that's changed. Obviously, the whole idea of psychology and stuff has changed. But that's always gonna happen. That's always gonna be a never evolution. You look at it like I realized it too, because like, all right, Shawn Michaels, he grew up watching Ric Flair, and that's what he wanted to be like growing up, whatever, right? That's what he studied, and that's why he did what he did. And then people like of my age, my generation, they grew up watching like Shawn Michaels,
like Chris Jericho.
Right, exactly, right. So it's like it just keeps going and going, and now it's like, who are the guys that are getting into it now? Who did they grow up watching? They grew up watching AJ Styles.
What's really great about that evolution too is that like from Ric Flair to Shawn Michaels, you can see where Ric Flair inspired Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
From Shawn Michaels to Chris Jericho, you can see where Shawn Michaels inspired Chris Jericho. But saying that, it's not like any of these are like direct, like, copy and paste.
Yeah.
Like,
but not just that, but then there's a whole generation now of guys that grew up watching Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrero, and that obviously inspired that whole idea of doing lucha moves now, and it wasn't just imported. Now it started becoming ingrained, and then now you have guys that grew up watching Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles and stuff getting in the business, So like, it's always, so everything's always going to be kept getting pushed and pushed until like, I don't know what happens, but like, it's just always evolving. So like, I've seen huge changes, and obviously pop culture and everything's changed in that respect too. Like, has been like a big evolution of just like what's accepted and what gets over and all that stuff.
During the 90s, like, it felt like wrestling and pop culture were pretty much like great.
Yeah.
You know? And now it's almost like they're two separate entities, and like wrestling is always trying to scrap back to pop culture.
Oh yeah, I mean, you always want to hit that big audience, and you know, I mean, look, and it's funny because the more things change, the more a lot of things stay the same. The people at the top are still of that certain build, that certain, because it's still, yeah, you still need that you need something that crosses over to that mainstream audience, you know.
So for you, like when you go into a match, what is your strategy beforehand? Are you like one of those people who likes to like, you know, go over everything? Are you OCD, or do you like to just go out there and freeball?
I guess that's probably something that's changed. I never got to experience it so much on the indie side, but like, you know, obviously, like a lot of guys are more cautious about going out there and feeling it and really into putting everything together. And things also, there's also certain things that need to be rehearsed because everything's a lot more, you know, there's more detail and stuff, and you need to know what's going on. So I guess, you know, back then, like, there was only like, people only did like 4 moves, you know, like, and alright, boom, a body slam.
A drop kick ended the match.
Yeah, so like, it was easier to go out there and do a match on the fly, you know what I mean? And I still think you could do that now, and I've done that now successfully. Like when I wrestled Simon Gotch, that was mostly on the fly. Like we had 2-3 things that we put together. But then there are guys that go down to every single detail to how are you gonna hit me and how are you gonna, you know, which is pretty crazy to me. And then like they get miffed if like, I go by feeling, like if the crowd is looking for something else, I need to change that up for them I always want to get my goal and strategy is always to get as best and as big of a reaction as possible.
I think wrestling and comedy are the same in that sense, because like when you go out there, like it's good to
you
go
have
out
your
there
set.
with like you have a strategy, but like you have to feel the audience, you have to feel the room, and if they're not feeling you, you need to change it up. You need to switch something up to change that.
And the last time that I was on stage, well, I actually made a promise to myself that would in fact be the last time that I was on stage. So that being said, tonight I guess I just have to deal with the fact that I'm both unfunny and a liar. And well, now that they booked me here, so do all of you.
Or wrap it up and go home.
What if you wrote this set, right, in comedy? Like you wrote out this whole set you did, and a lot of it's targeted for like an audience that's like lower middle class, so you know what I mean, and that they're really gonna get with you. And then you show up to the club and it's a bunch of rich people, like, you know what I mean. Then you might have to rework some stuff.
They gotta tweak some things. Something needs to change.
Absolutely.
What is like style for you in wrestling? Because like for some people, like I know Jim Cornette sees like certain people like wrestling, and it's like it's too choreographed.
Real wrestling is a serious and respectable sport.
Yeah. It becomes ballet to him. And I, you know, honestly, I can actually see that to some degree. I'm in awe of what these people can do, absolutely. But personally for me, like when I think of wrestling, and it's gonna sound weird, I think Austin. Because like anything Austin did it look sloppy? Yeah, absolutely. But it looked legitimate. You know what I mean? Like anytime he ran to the ring, I really thought like a couple of those hands were gonna, you know, miss the target and go straight into that guy's fucking face.
Yeah, that's what I love. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like Terry Funk and like Bruce Brody had that to a T, where like their stuff was never crisp or like super choreographed. Like it was gritty, it was violent, and it made you
looked like a hardcore brawler fight.
Yeah, which again, it's all situational, man. It all depends on what I've had, you know, and I go through it all the time where I have nights where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I want to just fight and be like Sabu and throw chairs, and then I have you know times where like, yeah, I'm gonna do this cool fucking step up thing, this, you know, cool lucha move and stuff like. So it's always like, it's weird. I'm always like go from one extreme to the other. Like I was just talking about two of the people I like to wrestle are like, they're polar opposites in their styles. So it's like I pride myself on just being versatile and being able to do whatever, you know, being able to do anything, you know. I've trained lucha libre. I have an amateur wrestling background. I have, you know, so I have that. Like sometimes I'll do something high flying. Sometimes I like to just brawl and do something more gritty. You know, it's always I have it all in a bag of tricks, and I can put everything wherever it needs to be. You know?
So who is on your list, like, of people that, like, you know, in terms of like, here's who I face. Who do you want to face? Like that you know. Again, doesn't necessarily have to be anybody, star names or anything like that, but just in general.
Well, most of them are because like I one of my frustrations with me lately has just been I just want to keep pushing it and try to face as best. You've faced people who are better than you. You got to constantly face people that are better than you to improve, to get to that next level. And
you want to meet a challenge so you could rise to that challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's guys like Teddy Hart's someone I'd like to work with really badly because he's out there, man. He's wild, but he's also
mentally.
Yeah. But he's which I love. I want to wrestle someone who is almost as crazy, if not crazier, than I am. He but not only that, but he's also extremely good. He's like ridiculously good.
He's very talented.
Yeah, so like that's a heart right there. That's crazy stuff. Homicide is someone else, someone who's been a pillar of the New York independent wrestling scene. And I'll never forget, I asked him one time when he came back from his injury, like I was like, oh, so you're switching up your style? And he's like, yeah, expect to see me work more like a mix of Bret Hart and Bruiser Brody. Which sounds like, what? That doesn't make any sense, but he did it, and I watched it, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally get that, and I just, and I really appreciate that, because, he's another guy that can do whatever you need him to do, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, he's
not, pigeonholed to, one style.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, no, so he's definitely someone else I definitely would love to be in the ring with. Who else? I mean, I think Rey Mysterio, that's a big one, but, that's a big dream match for me just because.
But you need to have those big ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, and he's someone that of that generation that I grew up watching, and he's obviously so it's a mix of that of the Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, that whole generation of worker. You know what I mean? That growing up as he was a huge Hispanic star, and he's the greatest luchador, and I have an affection for lucha libre wrestling, especially because I spent time out. I went out to Mexico and trained there for a little bit in Arena, Mexico. So I have a connection with lucha libre. So that's if you're gonna do it with anybody. Obviously, you know about my situation that recently happened. What was certain promotion. And that's so that was a situation where I there was a misunderstanding. I did something wrong, the promoter did something wrong, and I tried to settle it, and then he just kept crossing the line. He kept pushing the boundaries, and he get and it's funny because he went out and called me unprofessional for what I did. Yet this is the same person who went out and on his own company's social media page and put out, "Oh, you're fired," which is also again you can't fire
because you're an independent contractor.
Yeah, that whole argument comes up. You never employed me. We never had any contract. You never fired me from anything, and that's fine. Whatever. Mm-hmm. And then but it just kept going. It just kept going. And then obviously I made a video because I had to explain my side of the story. Mm-hmm. And then what bothers me is the fact I haven't said this guy's name publicly or anything in months, ever since it happened, since I made the video, and since I talked to him, because it's sad and it's messed up, because this person actually did help me out in the beginning and gave me opportunities that I wasn't getting at the time. You know what I mean? And he just didn't have the right business ethics or the right way of handling things that it blew up in his face. So I start hearing from other people. I haven't said this guy's name once or anything, but I start hearing from other people that are coming up to me, and then I hear something "Oh yeah, he told me that at the show you guys were at that he tried to fight you." He did not try to fight me in no universe. And then these are just blatant lies he's making to make himself feel better about himself. Oh yeah, and I heard him say it on a podcast too, where he's I heard him say straight up, "Oh yeah, I was about to fight him at the show." That never happened. Now, I'm not going to lie. We were at the show together. We were in the locker room, and I was definitely making eyes at him, and I was definitely,
Are you saying that you're trying to instigate a little bit?
I was antagonizing him a little bit, but because he had just did me dirty. This was a week or two after the incident happened.
So you're reacting.
Yes, he had done me dirty, so of course I was, making eyes at him, and he tried to shake my hand. I was no. And I love he goes out and he says he's fired and he does, leaving out the fact that he wanted me to turn this whole thing into a storyline, and he wanted to try to bring me back. He doesn't. He leaves that part out conveniently enough. Then he goes on. So where are we at? We had he's making lies about fighting me, which is whatever. That's fine. I'm not calling attention to that. But the big issue, this is where you cross the line, is when you contact other promoters. So I was on a show in Chicago. I got booked on a show in Chicago. And when I get to the show, the promoter pulls me aside. He's like, hey, check this out. Shows me messages from this guy telling him, hey, telling the promoter, hey, don't book him. He's unprofessional. I can send you footage of the match. He's doing, he's blah, blah, blah. He's this and this. He's one of 2 people I've only ever fired. And it's like, I'm failing to realize the promoter's like a friend of mine. And like, you know what I mean? Like, but like, that's crossing the line because now you're...
That's one thing like you never want to do.
No.
It's like you never open your mouth in a locker room because you don't know who's listening and you don't know who's friends with
Yes.
you. There's clicks all over the place. Like in wrestling, everybody knows each other.
That's just too far. Like, you're trying to take money out of my pocket. You're trying to hurt my career now. All because you and I had a misunderstanding because you weren't professional enough to handle things the right way. You know what I mean? Calls me unprofessional. His show starts an hour late. You know what I mean? I didn't even get paid that night. Everything he's ever said about me always finds its way back to me. And it's just infuriating because that has to happen. Now, he goes out and he told people recently, I went to a show. So I was coming home from New York, and I got to there around like there was a show in town, and I just stopped by because I had friends at the show and some people I wanted to meet. So I went out there, and the show had already ended. People were already on their way out, and I just was shaking hands, saying hi to people. I went in the locker room. I was all over the place. I was in the locker room, outside. I was all over. He tells people, and then like a couple of days later, someone tells me, "Oh yeah, said you showed up to the show, but you were lurking around because you knew he was in there." Now, the whole reason I came back to his company in the first place, like the first time around, because I had been gone for a year, the whole reason I came back was because I saw him at a show. I went up straight to his face, and I told him exactly what I thought. I went off on him. I spoke my mind. What? No, I didn't say. You can say his name all you want. No, he knows. My whole point is I haven't said this guy's name. Right. And he keeps putting my name in his mouth, just time after again, because he's got either some weird obsession or he just can't let the drama go. This is a guy who's created fake profile pages and has been caught doing that. He's been caught stirring the pot, and he's been, it's just situation after situation with him. And then it's sad because I hope now that he is a father, and I hope that he like matures a little bit and like is able to start letting go of that stuff and take care of his kid now, because now he should be a man at this point. You know what I mean? All right, I made him my son a couple months back when I confronted him in the locker room. I fathered him. All right, he became my son. But now that he has a kid of his own, I hope he takes on that role, because he can't be getting caught up in this drama and trying to hurt other wrestlers' career. For a misunderstanding him and I had. Reaching out to promoters in Chicago. I made a conscious effort because the New York scene, it's got its little bubble and it's toxic, and the fact of the matter is, I've done a lot of stupid things. I've gotten involved with the wrong people, and it's hurt me professionally here. And a lot of people don't use me there, or don't want to use me, or have no interest in using me. You know what I mean? And that's fine in this area. And that's fine. I made a conscious effort to go out. He put out a thing publicly again saying that I should have no future in wrestling. It's just a hobby. I should just quit. I'm not worth anything. And then 2 weeks later, I made my debut in Canada. I made debuts in like 4 or 5 different promotions, all outside of the New York area, because I made a conscious effort to expand and get out as far away as possible, because that's how you grow as a person. That's how you grow. You don't stay stuck doing the same things over and over again.
So you took a positive and you took a negative and turned it into
a positive. Absolutely. That's the only thing you can do at that point. I could have brought all this stuff out on my own social media, and I could have kept posting about it, but I made a conscious effort not to do that, because nobody wants to see that. That's not, people love, like, they get into, they like the drama of it and everything, but like, it's also like, I feel like it reflects bad on you as a person if all you constantly post is drama and all that stuff and attacking people. Like, I'd rather just keep keep doing my own thing, you know?
You get recognition, you just get recognition for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And, who wants to be known as that? Who wants to be the Danielle Bregoli of wrestling?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It probably hits because I know you've been making video after video about her. So like I went across on YouTube and I saw a link to one of her songs that her new records, and I kind of liked it.
Oh,
I know that's horrible, right? And I think I have a very sophisticated palate when it comes to music, but I was like, listen, I listened to it objectively, and I was like, for the time and everything.
-10 in credibility.
Dude, that's so bad, right? That I was like, this is not bad.
This ratchet, like, 15-year-old.
I know, yeah, that's horrible. It's so bad. I don't agree with it, but, you know, whatever. I don't even know how that happened. I think 2017 is a very weird time.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Not even, yeah, it's been a weird time, I think. I think we all actually died in 2012.
Yeah.
And, like, we're just in, like, a supernatural purgatory
Or it's
that
like
presents itself as Earth. You know?
There's like the hologram theory that people have been spouting out.
That's just because people watch Rick and Morty now. So.
Is that what it is? Is that where it came from?
Yeah.
Is that where the flat Earth theory came from too?
No, that's just because people are stupid.
You should start doing flat Earth videos.
I was thinking about it because, like, I was gonna be like, okay, so here's the one way to prove that there's not a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Here is a bunch of different, like, videos of people taking GoPros and launching them into
they don't
space.
trust them. I'm in a bunch of not a bunch. I'm in one specific group on Facebook. It's called Official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion. And it's the most entertaining thing to me in the world because like people are saying like gravity's not real and like people are posting like they'll post.
No, yeah, gravity's still a thing.
They'll post stuff like all right, if the Earth is flat, then explain this, you know, like explain hurricanes if the Earth is flat. I don't know, it's just stuff like that. And yeah, so people post those GoPro videos all the time. Like it's CGI. NASA's posted CGI. Oh my god. I think it's a good note to end it on, flat Earth discussion. And then
did you ever see what AJ Styles said about the flat Earth?
He said that there's some possibilities about it.
I think there's
some possibilities. I could see how. Which look, honestly, I could too, but no, it's not flat. Because it takes different strokes, it takes different strokes, it takes different strokes through the world.
Own the Essential JGeorge collection for just 3 easy payments and was $4.95 shipping and handling. All major credit cards are accepted, must be 18 or older to call.
Hey there, head bitch in charge, Angel Amoroso here, reminding you that the social injustice warrior videos take a fair amount of time, effort, patience, and talent. And Vee has none of these things. So help this poor bald fuck out and join the crusade against stupidity by joining our Patreon. Plus, who won't want a custom-made t-shirt with your favorite social injustice warrior character on it? Like me, or Vee. You can also create your own custom content requests. So join us, become a patron today, or you will get punished, and not in a good way. So join today.